The decision has been a surprise as well as not a surprise.
Prince Harry breaks down after Meghan's ex suddenly exposes a hidden past that was never meant to be seen. Secrets, timelines, and quiet moments begin to raise serious questions about everything people thought they knew. What happened behind the scenes? Why is this coming out now? Join us as we uncover the truth. The situation grows more intense every day. Harry's shocking discovery. According to a security log obtained from a high-level source within the Personal Protection Officer detail, Harry did not confront his wife immediately. He remained in that study for 46 minutes, sitting in total darkness. The only light came from the scrolling pages of a document that revealed a life he did not recognize. One staff member, speaking under strict anonymity, described the atmosphere in the room as radioactive. The source recalls overhearing a muffled, agonized exchange through the heavy doors. Harry was heard whispering a single, haunting question. Who exactly had he been living with for the last 8 years? At exactly 3 o'clock in the morning, the gates of the $14 million estate opened. Harry was seen behind the wheel of a black Range Rover, driving with reckless intensity through the Santa Barbara hills. There was no security detail in the car. There was no destination. Only the raw, unprocessed shock of a man who realized that the truth he had defended against the entire British monarchy might have been a carefully constructed Hollywood fiction. The core of this crisis traces back to Trevor Engels, the Hollywood producer, who was believed to be Meghan's first husband. For years, Engels was the man who knew too much and said too little. But something shifted in the final quarter of 2025. A series of legal depositions and a separate entertainment industry lawsuit triggered a disclosure requirement. Documents that were meant to remain sealed for 50 years suddenly became vulnerable. Among them were a 1999 record from a small municipality in the Caribbean and a series of medical and adoption records from Illinois that predated Meghan's rise to fame. The documents Harry viewed that night reportedly point to a devastating discrepancy. The allegation involves not only a secret marriage at the age of 19 to a man named Joseph Goldberg Giuliano, but also the existence of a child, a daughter born during Meghan's years at Northwestern University, who was placed for adoption before her Hollywood career began. The scale of this revelation is immense. Immediately after his midnight drive, Harry began taking action. By 8 o'clock that morning, a formal request for information was sent from Harry's private legal representatives to the United States Bureau of Diplomatic Security. This unit is responsible for vetting the background of spouses entering diplomatic circles. Harry was not asking for a public relations statement. He was requesting the DSON 160 form and the supplemental background checks completed during Meghan's visa applications in 2017 and 2018. He was searching for omissions. In the realm of international law, an omission on a visa document is not a minor error. It is a federal offense that can lead to the revocation of residency status. One close associate of the Duke of Sussex described his state as total identity collapse. Harry had built his post-royal brand on transparency. He wrote a 416-page memoir, Spare, to expose the secrets of his father and brother. Now, he faced the reality that he might have been the one person kept in the dark. The associate recalled Harry's reaction later that day. He repeatedly checked the security logs, acknowledging that the institution he had opposed had been right to exercise caution. Harry realized he may have exposed his children to a minefield without knowing the layout. The timing of this revelation is catastrophic. It is now April 7th, 2026. A major royal milestone is just weeks away. Harry has reportedly stopped speaking to the legal team he once shared with Meghan and has retained independent counsel. The unified front of the Sussexes has not just cracked, it has suffered a structural failure. As the sun rises over the Santa Barbara coastline, the question is not whether this story will break. It is how much of the original Prince Harry will remain once the full biography of Meghan Markle is finally, officially, and legally revealed. This unfolding situation continues to evolve. The second phase of the investigation promises to uncover even more documents, timelines, and records that may have remained hidden for decades. Each piece of evidence is critical. It is part of a larger picture that challenges what the public believed about Harry and Meghan. The scrutiny now extends far beyond personal or family matters. It intersects with international law, diplomatic processes, and the legal obligations of disclosure. The hidden timeline, shaking the British monarchy. To understand the scale of the crisis currently shaking the British monarchy, it is essential to look beyond glossy magazine covers and carefully curated headlines. The public narrative has long presented a simple story. A young woman from the northwestern United States rises to become a Hollywood actress and eventually a duchess. Yet, the timeline now emerging reveals a far more complicated story. Years, once thought ordinary, are missing from public records, and files once assumed destroyed or irrelevant have resurfaced, showing a level of secrecy that shocks even the most seasoned observers. The earliest documented events trace back to September of 1999 in Evanston, Illinois. Meghan Markle enrolled at Northwestern University, stepping into the academic world with ambition. However, her school records alone do not tell the full story. Newly surfaced documents suggest she began an intense relationship at the time with a man identified as Joseph Goldberg Giuliano. This was no casual romance. Sources describe it as a connection that set the stage for future events that would later ripple through royal circles. A major anomaly appears in May of 2002. While the world assumed she was simply a struggling student focused on studies and early career ambitions, a civil marriage registration reportedly occurred on the island of Jamaica. It was quiet, private, and not celebrated publicly. Yet legally, it was significant. Immediately after this registration, the record was sealed by a top-tier entertainment law firm in Los Angeles. This action was not ordinary. It was a deliberate, high-level effort to remove the record from public view. Questions naturally arise. How could a 21-year-old student secure the services of a firm charging $1,000 an hour to erase such a record? This question now occupies the minds of legal analysts within Buckingham Palace. From 2011 to 2013, the public was only aware of the marriage to Trevor Engelson. This relationship was presented as the only prior marriage. For more than a decade, it served as a screen, preventing deeper scrutiny and deflecting attention from earlier events. This carefully maintained narrative ensured that little investigation seemed necessary, allowing the past to remain obscured. In May of 2018, the world watched as Prince Harry publicly pledged his devotion at Windsor Castle. Millions around the globe witnessed what appeared to be an unwavering commitment. Yet, the royal vetting process, normally precise and thorough, relied on the declarations provided by the couple. It failed to detect the 2002 Jamaican marriage because those records had been legally moved into a private, non-archivable trust. The silence built into the system was finally broken in November of 2025. Trevor Engelson, under a mandatory subpoena for a high-stakes Hollywood film copyright deposition, was forced to disclose all previous legal obligations and dependents, releasing detailed records about the inner workings of the royal family. Under penalty of perjury, he could no longer withhold information. Details of a pre-2002 legal dependent leaked, eventually reaching investigators by the third week of January 2026. The fallout was immediate. Prince Harry realized this was more than a simple oversight. It was a carefully constructed concealment. Sources close to the Sussex household described the moment as a realization that the vetting process had been intentionally bypassed. The discovery became a breaking point, highlighting that the mechanisms of silence were deliberate and expertly executed. Today, April 8, 2026, the monarchy faces a turning point. An emergency session of the Royal Legal Advisory Council is underway. This is not a casual family discussion. The agenda is critical: the validity of vows made in 2018. If a spouse enters a royal marriage while concealing a previous legal union or the existence of a direct heir, the legal standing of their current title is at risk, creating a constitutional dilemma. The council is now examining not just the possibility of divorce, but the potential declaration of nullity. Questions remain. What is in the 2002 Jamaican file? Why is the palace now reviewing adoption laws from Illinois? The timeline is no longer merely a sequence of dates. It has become a countdown to accountability and confession. Legal experts in Whitehall and Buckingham Palace are asking the same question. How could a firm succeed in hiding records for decades, while MI5 and specialized vetting units failed to detect it? The answer is not simple negligence, but rather a masterful exercise of legal engineering. A loophole in the royal vetting system was exploited with surgical precision, leaving even Prince Harry vulnerable. Understanding this mechanism is essential to comprehending how the monarchy now faces one of its most complex and delicate crises in modern history. Gaps in a royal background check. In today's world, where digital footprints are expected to reveal almost everything, systems designed to verify personal histories are often seen as reliable and complete. This belief shaped the royal vetting process, which was meant to carefully review anyone entering the inner circle of the British royal family. However, documents linked to the Montecito study suggest that what appeared to be a complete background may not have been as full as expected. Instead of a fully detailed personal history, what was presented seemed carefully shaped and limited. The royal vetting process begins with a step known as voluntary disclosure. This stage depends on honesty and personal responsibility. When someone is preparing to join the royal family through marriage, they are expected to provide a full account of their past. This includes previous relationships, financial connections, and any legal unions. It is meant to be a clear and complete declaration, given in good faith. The system relies heavily on the idea that the person involved will be truthful, especially under the weight and importance of such an institution. In the year 2017, Meghan Markle reportedly submitted her personal record as part of this process. According to reports, this record acknowledged only one past legal union, which was her divorce from Trevor Engelson. Within the structure of the British establishment, there is a strong belief in honor and integrity. When a declaration is made at this level, it is generally accepted as truthful, and the next steps are built upon that foundation. The second stage of the process is the public data cross-check. At this point, specialized units from MI5 and the Metropolitan Police begin their work. Their role is to verify the information that has been provided. They examine international marriage records, divorce documents, and civil court filings. This step is designed to catch any differences between what was declared and what exists in official records. Under normal conditions, this system is thorough and effective. However, in this case, the process may not have worked as intended. Reports suggest that those managing Meghan Markle's legal and public image understood how to work within the boundaries of the law in a very precise way. A key detail lies in the difference between a divorce and an annulment. While both relate to the end of a marriage, they are not the same in legal meaning. A divorce confirms that a marriage existed and has now ended. It leaves a clear record that can be found and verified. An annulment, also known as a declaration of nullity, works very differently. It states that the marriage is considered not to have existed at all in the eyes of the law. In simple terms, it removes the marriage from legal history. This creates a situation where there is no standard record to find. If such an annulment is handled in a private family court, especially in a place with strict privacy laws, the information becomes even harder to access. Locations like a specific parish in Jamaica or a small, protected county in Illinois are often mentioned in this context. These jurisdictions can keep records sealed and out of public reach. When combined with the use of a top-level Hollywood law firm, these records can be further protected under a court-ordered non-disclosure agreement. This means the details are not only hidden but also legally restricted from being shared. By the time British security services carried out their checks in 2017, they were working with what was available in the public domain. What they found matched the information that had been declared. However, this information may have already been carefully shaped. The result was a profile that appeared complete but was actually limited. It showed what could be seen, not everything that existed. This situation was not a typical background check. It became a meeting point between two very different systems. On one side was a traditional state intelligence structure, built on trust, procedure, and established methods. On the other side was a modern, highly managed public image supported by expert legal and public relations teams. These teams were skilled in shaping how information appears and what remains hidden. The outcome of this process has led to ongoing questions. Prince Harry entered his marriage believing in the accuracy of the background that had been reviewed. The checks were technically correct based on available data, but they may not have told the full story. This created a situation where the foundation of that understanding was incomplete. As the Royal Legal Advisory Council meets to review these developments, a deeper concern is emerging. The issue is not only about one possible gap in a record, it raises a broader question about the system itself. If one part of a personal history can be removed or hidden, it leads to uncertainty about what else might not be visible. The vetting process was designed in a time when personal declarations were rarely challenged in such complex ways. It relied on trust and clear records. However, in an age where legal tools and public image management can shape what is seen, that system may no longer be enough on its own. At the time, Prince Harry was protected from intense media pressure during the process. Yet, protection from public attention did not mean full awareness of every detail. Some information remained sealed, stored in private legal systems far from public view. Now, as more records and discussions begin to surface, attention is turning to the decisions behind this situation. Questions are being asked about who allowed such gaps to exist, and who supported the legal steps that kept certain details hidden. The focus is not only on what was missed, but also on how it was possible for it to be missed at all. This situation highlights the limits of even the most respected systems when they meet carefully managed information. It shows that in a world shaped by both law and image, the truth can sometimes be harder to see than expected. Operation Golden Sledge. St. James's Palace has finally reached a turning point, and it has not ended with a simple handshake. Instead, it has concluded with a powerful 14-page memorandum that is now sending shockwaves through the corridors of power in London. This document, classified under the codename Operation Golden Sledge, carries a weight far beyond routine palace matters. This memorandum was not written by a press secretary or shaped by a public relations team. It came directly from the desk of the Princess Royal, Princess Anne. Known for her strong work ethic and deep loyalty to the integrity of the crown, she has reportedly made a clear decision. The period of quiet diplomacy with the Sussexes has come to an end. What was once seen as a private family matter has now been elevated into a formal act of institutional protection. Operation Golden Sledge was delivered straight to the Cabinet Office on the morning of April 8, 2026. It is described as a cold and detailed assessment of the legal and moral standing of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. According to those who have seen the executive summary, the Princess Royal has officially called for the activation of a special committee. This committee would review the Titles Deprivation Act. While the public may see royal titles as simple symbols, Princess Anne views them as binding legal agreements. In her view, these agreements must be honored fully. She believes that these contracts may have been broken, and this belief forms the foundation of her actions. The legal path she is following focuses on a clause concerning moral and spiritual integrity within royal marriages. This is where earlier investigative findings, including depositions from Trevor Engelson and sealed records from Jamaica, the silence built into the system was finally broken in November of 2025. Trevor Engelson, under a mandatory subpoena for a high-stakes Hollywood film copyright deposition, moved beyond public discussion and into the area of constitutional law. The argument being prepared is clear and direct. If claims about a previous undisclosed marriage or a hidden heir are proven true, then the vows exchanged at St. George's Chapel in May 2018 would have been based on a false declaration. From this position, the consequences become serious. Princess Anne is not simply aiming to remove a title, she is seeking to challenge the legal standing of the Sussex identity itself. Such a move would lead to an immediate end of any remaining royal financial protections. More importantly, it would give the government a firm legal basis to act under the Titles Deprivation Act of 1917, a measure used only once in the past century. The process is now moving quickly. Authority is rising from the Princess Royal to the Cabinet Office, and onward to a special committee within the Privy Council. Operation Golden Sledge is not presented as a suggestion. It is an ultimatum. Prince Harry now faces a difficult position. He must either provide full and clear records of his wife's past or risk the formal removal of his remaining honors. The strategy behind this approach is careful and precise. By focusing on the truthfulness of the marital contract, the situation is no longer framed by emotion. Instead, it is treated as a matter of review and compliance. The documents Prince Harry examined in his Montecito home on January 15th were only the beginning. The greater concern lies in the 14-page memorandum now resting on the Prime Minister's desk. As of April 8, 2026, the atmosphere in London is tense and quiet. A deep silence hangs over the city, reflecting the seriousness of the decisions being considered. While public attention remains on King Charles III during his demanding medical treatment at the London clinic, a far more significant development is unfolding behind palace doors, particularly within the offices of the Duchy of Cornwall. A quiet shift behind palace walls. At 10:30 this morning, Prince William was seen entering his private administrative headquarters. He was not alone. A team of high-level inheritance and trust lawyers walked in with him. Their presence points to something far more serious than a simple public relations issue. It shows that careful financial planning is now at the center of attention. The focus has moved toward a possible financial separation. The Duchy of Cornwall, which provides funding for the heir to the throne, is said to be strengthening its boundaries. Reports suggest that legal experts are reviewing succession trust clauses that have remained unchanged since the 1950s. The aim is clear. They want to protect royal finances from any legal risks that could arise, including a possible declaration affecting the Sussex marriage. While these preparations are happening in London, another major development has been confirmed. Aviation trackers and sources connected to the Telegraph reported that at about 11:45 last night, a private jet arrived in the United Kingdom. The aircraft, a Gulfstream jet, departed from Venice and landed at Farnborough Airport, a location often used for high-security royal arrivals. Only one person stepped off the plane, surrounded by a small security team. It was Prince Harry. The most striking detail was who was not there. Meghan Markle was absent, and so were the children. This quiet return marks the first time in years that Harry has arrived in Britain without his wife. His arrival also aligns exactly with what insiders are calling a 72-hour silence. Harry has not been seen at the Montecito property since his late-night drive on January 15th. His landing in Britain suggests he may be seeking protection or support within the royal system he once stepped away from. Back in California, the situation looks very different. Meghan Markle is said to have launched an intense public relations campaign for her American Riviera Orchard brand. Carefully styled images have been shared with selected media outlets, presenting a peaceful and bright family life. However, digital experts who reviewed these images believe they may have been taken weeks or even months earlier. The difference between image and reality is becoming clear. Harry has not appeared in public for more than 3 days. The united image that defined the Sussex family for 7 years now shows signs of distance. Reports suggest that Meghan's team is releasing a steady flow of lifestyle content to shift attention away from questions about Harry's absence. Still, the 72-hour gap remains a major concern. While Meghan continues to promote luxury products and home items, Harry is believed to be staying in a secure Grace and Favour residence within the Windsor estate. He is said to be preparing for a meeting with his father and brother, a meeting that once seemed unlikely. Attention is now turning to what Harry brought with him. Sources claim he arrived with the Zurich files, a set of encrypted documents connected to his situation earlier in January. This suggests his visit is not for rest, but for serious discussions about his future. At the same time, Princess Anne is said to have issued the Golden Sledge memo, which may limit the terms of any return. King Charles III is recovering, William is focused on legal protection, and Harry remains out of sight. Meanwhile, in Montecito, Meghan continues her efforts to maintain her brand, even as the foundation it was built on begins to face growing uncertainty. Defining moment for the Sussex future. As the sun sets over London today, the prince has returned home, but the Duke may already feel like a figure from the past. On April 8, 2026, the situation reached a turning point unlike anything seen before. The information now available suggests that what once appeared to be a strong and unified journey has reached its final stage. What began in 2018 as a powerful shared story that captured global attention has now divided into 3 clear paths, each carrying serious consequences. Recent developments, including the legal direction shaped by Princess Anne through Operation Golden Sledge, along with the unexpected arrival of Prince Harry at Farnborough Airport, have added urgency to the situation. The monarchy now stands at a critical point, where the next decision could influence the line of succession for many generations. The first possibility is a complete collapse. In this outcome, Harry would formally file for divorce in a United Kingdom court, citing the non-disclosure of earlier legal unions. This path would not be quiet or simple. Meghan Markle would likely respond strongly, releasing detailed records about the inner workings of the royal family. These documents are said to have been gathered over time, especially after the 2021 interview with Oprah Winfrey. Such actions could lead to a major constitutional crisis, one that has not been experienced since the time of Edward VIII and his abdication. In this case, the British Parliament might be forced to step in and reconsider the meaning and structure of royal titles. The second possibility is what many see as the most realistic outcome, known as the ironclad settlement. Under this arrangement, a strong and detailed non-disclosure agreement would be created, possibly involving a very large financial structure. Harry would return to the United Kingdom on a permanent basis, but his role would be quiet and private. He would remain a prince, but without a strong public presence. Meghan, on the other hand, would continue her life in California, keeping her titles for the sake of their children's future, while living separately from the British royal system. This scenario is considered the most likely because it aligns with Harry's personal journey and beliefs. After stepping away from royal duties, he built his identity around honesty and openness. He made difficult choices, believing he was protecting someone who had been truthful with him when others were not. However, when he reviewed the Zurich files and noticed differences in records connected to Jamaica and Illinois, his understanding changed. The version of Meghan he once believed in no longer seemed complete. He is now seen as someone who feels he has been placed into a situation he did not fully understand from the beginning. The silence of Trevor Engelson, which once appeared unimportant, now seems like a factor that has quietly shaped the present moment. The third possibility is the path of maintaining a unified image. In this case, both individuals would agree to continue presenting a happy marriage to the public. This would protect their shared brand, but it would come with a serious cost. King Charles III and Prince William would likely remove all remaining financial connections to royal trust funds. This would leave the couple fully dependent on their commercial work, which has become more uncertain as the environment in Hollywood grows less supportive of their story. As legal teams in both London and Los Angeles begin careful discussions, one important detail has drawn quiet attention. In a deposition given in Los Angeles late last year, Trevor Engelson mentioned a joint safety deposit box held in a central bank in Toronto, Canada. This box was registered in both names during the filming of the series Suits. According to bank records, it has remained untouched since August 2013, the same month their divorce was completed. Sources suggest that this box may contain original documents, private correspondence, and possibly sensitive material connected to a past union that was never meant to become public. This detail raises serious questions. Harry's sudden return to London may be an effort to seek guidance and protection from the king before any legal or financial forces move to open that box. It may also be a moment where he prepares to explain that what lies in Toronto could have deeper consequences than anyone has expected. The time of a single, accepted narrative has come to an end. Events from the past are now shaping the present in ways that cannot be ignored. Every decision made in this moment will carry lasting effects, not only for the individuals involved, but also for the future of the monarchy itself. If you were in Harry's position today, standing in the United Kingdom while your life in California faces uncertainty, would your choice be guided by personal loyalty or by the responsibility to protect a historic legacy? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Before you go, be sure to click on the video shown on your screen.